What up, comrades? Here to talk about week 3 of our Christmas Spectacular. This time we got a non-Hallmark movie, so shockingly. I thought it was a Hallmark movie, but it's a Nicely Entertainment. I've never heard of this company before, this production company, but this is the best movie so far, and it's fantastic. Now, it is very much of the style of this genre, so we got dead parents, the mother's dead. We got girl from the big city coming back to the country, Amish. It's Christmas at Amish bakery, so obviously it's going to have something to do with that. We got cute little girl. We add a little more spice to this one, as in the main love interest is also his wife was killed in like a vehicle accident or died in a vehicle accident, and he's not actually Amish. He just like is heavily associated with the main character. His name's Sarah, and his name is Dean, and I don't really recall the rest of the family's names, but not important. So Dean, he's got a little girl, and she's delightful, poetious, and we got wise old dad spitting out like mad Amish advice to everybody who wants to hear even a second of it. We got like a little Christmas. There's no Christmas. Oh, there's a Christmas. Yes, there is a Christmas festival. It's not predominant like in a lot of these movies, but it exists. It like kind of exists in the background. So a heavy theme in this is forgiveness and welcoming people home and loving people despite the choices they make. So this, unlike a lot of Hallmark movies, which are kind of just like, I feel good after watching this, but I can't exactly explain why. And they have like cute little like Christmas messages, as in like, just like embrace love and your heart and don't worry about big city life or being like a princess. Like what's more, or a prince in some cases. There's a whole trilogy of movies that I've covered in the last couple of years. I don't exactly remember what they're called, but it's a lot of the same themes. But this one has like extra like awesome like more Christian advice. So I kind of got to believe that this Nicely Entertainment is like, it's like Angel Productions or something. Like it's more of like a Christian-based group. Not that they are preachy about anything at all, to be completely honest, but there is a lot more kind of like emphasis on like the Amish and like their kind of like religious beliefs. Like there's even like a full-on prayer, thanking God for like all the bountiful harvest in the family and everything else. So that's cool. Another thing that is a plus about this that I wish Hallmark would do more of is get actresses that aren't all plastic surgeoned up. Now, both these women look like they're in their like mid to late 20s to early 30s. Like they're white, so there's like that range when like they don't look like children anymore. I'm speaking of white women, but they are not. They haven't become grizzled by like poor skincare habits. And genetics. That usually hits around mid 30s. Like you'll see these like pretty blonde girls, and then all of a sudden they look like horrifying monsters. That's not 100% of the case. Germans look much worse, much younger. It's my experience. Like Italians and Spaniards and stuff, they'll tend to like look better later, right? Whatever like Latin, Roman, Greek gene they got, Greek Grecians as well, right? Plus a lot of them have that like sweet Middle Eastern, Asian kind of gene pool going on as well. Like my mom didn't look really old until she was like in her 60s, right? Not that I'm into that. Obviously, you perverts. But just as a commentary, like my sister does not take care of herself, is like overweight, and has had like multiple surgeries. That's not on her. She just has. She has like scars open everything. Anyway, but she still looks young. Like she is roughly in her 40s at this juncture, and she could pull off being like mid-20s, right? So there's just something about the genes that just like make it what it is. So. What was I going to say? Oh, okay. So moving forward with this movie, so I like it. So far, it's the best one. It might continue to be the best one. Like it was really good, and I'm not gonna lie. The main love interest, Dean, holy effing crap, man! This dude looks like he came straight out. Like if I'm playing an Otama game. For those of you nerds who aren't weebs like me, an Otama game is like it's like a harem simulator for women. So it's very like story oriented. You got. It's very cliche. So when you think of like harem, most people have heard of like harem because it's like, oh, gooners and blah, 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 whatnot. But they haven't always heard of like otame. So otame is like the Senate, or not Senate, shoju to like, God, I'm getting my Japanese terms messed up. Shoju to shonen, as what otame is to like harem animes, right? So it's like the female version. So it's like it's like a nice young lady who's kind of like quote unquote plain looking, and then all these like exceedingly beautiful men like are throwing themselves all over each other, like fighting each other to the death, and like fighting God, and like doing all this crazy stuff to be with this girl. And it's very, very, very like sometimes you'll get like dudes with their shirts off, and they have like long flowing hair, and like there's glasses guy. You know, it's like it's one of those things, right? So it's exact. If you know anything about anime whatsoever, and you've seen like a harem, just like flip that, and then you got an otome game. Like if you look up, there's so many, and there's books. There's more books. Like there's more light novels about this the otome genre than there are like of shonen or isekai or whatever. It's fantastic. Like my favorite is, it's not an otome game, but if my favorite anime of all time is Visions of Escaflowne, and it's kind of like that. It's like an isekai, otome, fantasy thing all combined into one, and it's so freaking excellent. And the reason I say that is because you have the main character Hitomi she isekais into another world, and then two princes fight over her. Like frenemies about it, and then like the enemy who's also like a prince like also like wants her attention, and she's like a short-haired like tomboy, right? So it's not like she's another princess or has any like strategic value per se. I like Hitomi. She's fantastic. It's a great show. And so that's kind of funny. Okay. So, but this dude looks like he straight up is like if I asked AI to take like an otome character and make them into like a real life person, that this dude would look like that. Like he is one of the most like beautiful. Now I'm now pay attention. I'm not saying handsome. I'm not saying good looking. I'm saying beautiful. Like he is like a beautiful man. Like if someone was like, show me a picture of, when you say beautiful man, show me a picture, I would show this guy. Like he has like delicate features. Like he looks like a freaking model, but he acts pretty well too. Like everyone in this is acting pretty well. And like I said, the girls for being like the main character and her sister for being like white chicks. I mean, they're cuter. Like they're better looking than like any of these other shows. Like it's one of those things where it's like I can see the temptation there if I wasn't like wise to the ways of the world and know that the ticking time on this is like real young. And if I plan to be with this person for like the rest of my life, I kind of want to like drag it out a little bit longer because I'm petty and shallow. Anyway, 6 minutes. Wow. Okay, so the story goes that, you know, typically there's not much to talk about. It's the same story. There's always is. This girl's like an executive, or like she works at like a publishing house in New York, in Chicago, not New York, right? So Chicago, and somehow she maintains like a beautiful house in Chicago, making probably like barely six figures, right, at this kind of actual job in real life. Now, this is supposing that like the cookbook industry hasn't been completely devastated by like the internet and AI. So that is the most unrealistic part about this whole show, is the fact that there's like a cookbook company that is by any stretch of the imagination like profitable whatsoever. So that part kind of, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's okay. So they're in trouble. So I guess that's kind of realistic, but they're only in trouble because they need like new books, not because of the internet or AI or anything like that. It's just kind of like a generic like, oh, we need like another top seller cookbook because the last book we have, it's like coming off the shelves, and they're replacing with like other cookbooks and stuff. And I'm like, okay, sure. So we gotta like get our cookbook stuff going, and so spit some ideas out to me right now. And the girl's like, blah blah blah, and then the boss lady is like, what's that? And she received a card from her sister telling her that she just gave birth to her niece. And I'm not gonna lie, there's no way this chick just gave birth, because Sarah, the main character, she like rolls into this Amish bakery like that day or the next day, or like the Amish land, and her sister is like running around baking things, and looks like she's fit as a fiddle. Now, I've had several children. I've had friends who've had many children, and like no woman like a month in to like giving birth is like running around baking. I don't care if you're Amish or not. That is absurd. Like you're barely functional, if nothing else, just because of the sleep issue. So what goes on here? Okay, so she's like, oh, I have an idea. My family's Amish. Or no, the lady's like, are your family's Amish? Yeah, my sister runs a bakery in the Amish land. And she's like, I'm going to go. You better go, and you better get that. She's like, that's a good idea. So she heads down, and she bumps into Dean, the most beautiful man alive. And he is like putting up a sign that says like, do not enter, because apparently this branch of like Amishness in like Kentucky instead of Pennsylvania, which is much closer, or maybe it's not closer to Illinois. I don't really know. Anyway, apparently it's only a 6-hour drive that comes up, and I didn't look it up because I don't care. But I thought Kentucky's north of Tennessee, so I guess I could see that maybe. I don't know. I don't know geography of that part of the country. I don't really care. So then they have like their little flirt on, and then she's like, I'm John's daughter, and he's like, oh, okay, go ahead. So he goes in, meets the awesome dad, the sexy older sister with her like a super Amish looking husband with the beard and hat and everything, and they chit chat, and then she starts hanging out. She tries to be kind of sneaky at first about like wanting to put a cookbook together and like open up the community to like the joys of being Amish, and then the sister's like, yeah, sure, but we got to approval from like the council of elders, and the dad's like, she goes and like convinces the dad that like doing the cookbook, like open things up, could be beneficial to the society without actually causing them to be like whatever. And she talks about like other Amish farms and how they open up and how it's just beneficial for them because then they have a little bit more I don't know, like sightseeing, or like they get a little more like purchase power, because I don't think Amish are opposed to like capitalism per se. They just don't want to deal with a lot of like technology stuff, which is kind of like hand wavy in this show. I feel like for being like this ultra conservative, like isolated Amish group, they tend to use like, they tend to like not have a super big problem with like modern conveniences or whatever. Anyway, Dean is not Amish. He just like, we find out later when him and Sarah start kind of like dating and being smoochy face, right? And there's a cute part where like the sister essentially pushes them into like a date. And she's like, tee. Oh, and then we find out, so we meet the daughter at some point, and then Sarah finds out that she's being homeschooled because her dad is like an artist for children's books. And then she's like, oh, that's that Dean, whatever. I know that guy, he's famous. And she's like, and the daughter's like, tee. And so she gets him to like draw pictures for the cookbook because he's an excellent artist. And, that brings them all closer together. We find out that, yeah, him and his wife were having some sort of like, I don't think they were having a disagreement. They were like looking at a phone thing or whatever, and they didn't notice the road. And there was like a deer jumped out, and she swerved into it or swerved off the road. So there was some accident. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then the wife died, and then the daughter would have died too. But like John came and saved him, so now he feels like indebted to him on some level, where he's like, essentially this girl has become like a granddaughter or daughter to like old man John, who is the father of Sarah. And then Dean here is like living. He doesn't live like with the Amish. He lives like right outside the boundaries or whatever. But he's like permitted to come in as long as he like is. He has like permission, specific permission, because of like the daughter. So then we get some like cute adventures with them and cute like the cookbook thing, and then we get a very, very, very cute moment where like Dean, who is like an excellent father besides being the most beautiful man I've ever seen like in real life, is like, so Sarah and her sister head out to have like a little girls' time, going to the store to pick up some baked stuff so they can continue working on the cookbook and getting ready for this like festival they're going to throw and allow other people to come like purchase baked goods or try them out or whatever. There's also a thing about sourdough and legacy, which sourdough is like hard as crap to keep going. So the fact that they've had this thing for like 100 years is like slow clap, like super impressive. Like I wish I could do that. I've made sourdough several times and it always turns out well, but like keeping that thing going for more than like a couple months has been like a disaster in my life. So maybe when I get settled in my next location that I'll be at, I'll try it again, because sourdough is delish. So where were we? Oh, okay. So then, yeah, there's a cute moment where like the dad has to, like Sarah's brother-in-law has to like take care of the new baby, and he's like freaking out, and the Dean takes the baby and like talks to him about being sleep deprived, and they have a fun moment where he's like, you're gonna do great, you can't break him, like unless you like toss him on the ground. So you're going to be a good father. And it's like, oh, there's a lot of like little sweet moments in this that like some of the previous two movies and a lot of these Hallmark movies they might have like one sweet moment at the end, but this one was like much better in like having these like natural kind of like sweet moments and setting up for them, and then having like the music and all that. So they did a much better job. Nicely, yeah. So okay, so then eventually the boss lady like she's like harassing, and then Sarah decides she wants to publish this book, but she wants to do like a self-publish. She doesn't want to like have it be part of the corporate world or whatever. And then the lady, her boss, like shows up because she's like freaking out because like she has like a whole nother issue with legacy, and she's feeling a lot of pressure because her dad gave her the company, and she's like feels like she's failing. And so then Sarah and her like have a conversation about that, and she's like essentially like, I quit, I'm not gonna do this anymore because legacy, and like your parents would still love you even if like you had struggles. And lady's like, whatever. And then Dean has overheard this conversation, so he flips out and he essentially breaks up with her. And then Sarah gets super sad and she feels like she needs to leave, so she goes and like apologizes to her dad and her sister. And both her dad and her sister are like, oh yeah, we do, when you were doing the cookbook, like why else would you come here besides to get like bake recipes for your cookbook? Like you're literally a cookbook. Like you literally work in like the cookbook industry. And I'm like, the cookbook industry? What? You almost really are isolated from reality. It's like, that's and I love cookbooks. I have a ton of them, but still, I was like, what? That's stupid. Anyway. And, so they kind of like hug it out, and they're like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, you're welcome to come back here whenever you want, please. Like, you don't have to leave if you don't want. She's like, no, I need to leave. And so she runs off. And then it's like Christmas time and everyone's opening presents. And then there's like a present that Dean got for Sarah, and his daughter's like, what are you going to do with this? Sarah's not here. And he's like, so he goes to give it to like John so he can like get it to her somehow, even though he doesn't believe in like the U.S. mail system. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then John has like this epic like monologue, and it's super like kind old man. Like it's not like, look, son. Well, he does. He says, look, son, we believe in like forgiveness and repentance and that people can change. And like she came here for one reason, but we still love her no matter what. And then she did change. And so like there's absolutely, I don't see the point. I don't see the reason why you're being such like a hard A about the whole situation. So essentially he just kind of talks Dean into being like, you're right. I'm going to go. And then he's like, daughter. And then John's like, no, just leave her here. I need a Scrabble buddy. And I'm like, Scrabble? That's a corporate kind too. Like, what the? You almost are very back and forth about what you approve and don't approve in this movie, at least. So then he races like 6 hours up to Chicago and like knocks on her door, and they like, I love you. Oh, I'm falling in love with you. Oh, I'm falling in love with you. Yay. And then he's like, too bad we can't have Christmas with our families. And she's like, what about what about like 26s or whatever? Some like Hobbit nonsense. Like secondies. And he's like, what's that? And she's like, it's the second day of Christmas. And he's like, you really call it 20 or like 2 6s or whatever? The 2 6. And she's like, you bet. I was like, I wonder if that's a real thing. If it is, it's awesome. I love celebrating like as we celebrate Christmas Eve like across the board in like Latin culture. So it's Christmas has always been like a 2-day event for us. But anyway, so that's cute. So they go back and everyone like hugs it out and smiles and everyone's super happy, and the end. So that's Christmas in Amish Bakery. It was freaking fantastic. I enjoyed every second of it. So you would too. So you should go watch it. I don't know where it's at. You know how I find things. Anyway, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I will catch you guys later. Bye.